Pete, welcome to Taiwan On.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Long time no see.
Yeah, exactly. So we text last week, and you were headed west, you said, to fish with some guy named Feider.
Yeah.
Who is he, and where'd you go?
Well, for any of your listeners that don't know, Seth Feider from the Bassmaster Elite Series, he's a good buddy of mine. I grew up fishing with him around here in Minnesota, and so we don't get a chance to fish that much together anymore, and as much as we used to anyway. So, a handful of times a year
Right.
now. So he's back, and in between there being no ducks, I don't think if there were ducks down here, he wouldn't have fished with me. He would have been shooting ducks, but there wasn't a lot of ducks around. So me and him went out west and we went fishing, and we went further west than your stomping grounds typically are, Mike.
Okay.
It was pretty epic. We were trophy hunting, trying to catch a big one, and he boated a 615.
Wow.
We thought that it's so crazy how big those fish are out west. We thought the fish was like 5 pounds when he landed it, and we both of us said, "Oh, that's a big one. It's a 5-pounder."
Yep.
And then he was picking it up and he was holding it and he said, "I think this thing might weigh more than 5 pounds." And I said, "It might be 5 3/4. It's a big one." And he put it on a scale and it was 615. So,
Wow.
So needless to say, we're going back out west. I've got to go to a show this weekend. I'm out of town. I'm driving down to Tennessee for 4 days.
Okay.
And he's going out to Montana duck hunting. But when he gets back, I feel like there's a Halloween Western swing in our futures.
Now, I'm okay with that, but just make sure you get west of me, okay?
I promise. I had a hard time. I caught one big one, and I definitely caught a lot of quality, not a lot of quantity. We probably only boated 10 fish, but I probably caught 4 or 5 4-pounders.
Wow.
He got the big giant bucket head, and we lost one on a buzz bait. That's our white whale story. And it's funny because I always make fun of everybody who always, you watch a tournament weighing and everybody who loses a fish, it was 5 pounds. It was 5 pounds. Every time you lose one, it's never a 3-pounder or a 2-pounder. It's always, I lost a 5-pounder.
Yep.
He lost an absolute mega that's got both of us freaking out. Broke straight braid, and we want to get back out there and see if we can figure it out. So.
Wow, that's cool. So what are you seeing, Peter? What are you hearing from your fishing circles in terms of water temperature and kind of where you think we are in the fall progression right now?
Mike, that's the best question someone who's getting on the water could ask right now, because it's all over the place. We got out way out west, and we'd seen the water temps around me in the metro here get down into those low 60s, and we got out west and it was in the high 60s. We had low 70s.
Wow.
But we're getting these weird super warm days and good sun. But as you know, the sun doesn't help that much this time of year because it's going away on us fast. So it's funny because you know this. I bet you in your circle of friends, you've got the same exact thing. You got friends that think fall's the best time of year to fish, and you got friends that say, "I don't get what you guys are talking about. Fall's the worst time of year to
Fall's
fish."
horrible.
I don't know what to do day to day right now. And I think that's what makes these transition periods, it's easy to say it's fall and go do this. But right now, I think with our warm fall so far, that we're in a transition period between those late summer months and that fall period, where they're not just in every mat that's blown into the bank. They're not up on every lay down. But with the day me and Seth were out there, every big fish we caught was super shallow, under a overhang or under a dock or somewhere super shallow where they should be in the fall. Any remaining matted vegetation that was shallow where we were catching them in, but we didn't get the numbers. They clearly were not all there. So And then I saw some of my friends that stayed back here in the cities and unfortunately had to fish the Viking on Lake Minnetonka. Uh, they caught them deep. They
Mm-hmm.
caught them on late summer pattern stuff. So this
Mm-hmm.
time of year, your electronics are your friend, and even more so than your electronics. And that's what I love about fall. I'm not as good with my electronics as my friends who fish for a living are. Uh, this is the time of year where you're supposed to pick up a bait and go cover
Mm-hmm.
water, find where they are. And you're going to get one here, one here, one here, one here. If whether they're shallow vegetation or docks or laydowns, and I think they're still spread out all over the place. I think right now, depending on the lake, uh, go there with an open mind. Be ready to figure out the puzzle that day.
Mm-hmm.
Don't trust what your buddy told you happened yesterday, because it could be completely different today.
Yep, I agree 100%, Pete. We were out yesterday trying to make a television show, and we did get a good segment made, but I was with Shane, one of our producers, yesterday, and Shane's a fish head himself, and we were 3 hours into it and had one fish. And I said to Shane, I said, boy, they sure bite in the fall, don't they?
Yeah.
And then we got into we found a flat that they were loaded up on, and we caught everything that we caught off that flat.
Yeah.
And fortunately we, got what we needed and got a really nice segment out of it. But like you said, this love-hate relationship with fall, sometimes I think those of us, and I got to put myself in this category, who write about fishing, we glorify fall as the best time ever. And sometimes it's a struggle during the fall.
It can be. Absolutely, it can be. This is where the time of year, this time of year always reminds me why my heroes are all multi-species anglers.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. When I got into bass fishing, I come from the walleye world, and I've been chasing, the typical Midwest kind of angler. And then I got into bass fishing, and I kind of zeroed in on that and went for it. And what blows me away are my friends, yourself included, guys that can call an audible in the middle of the day and change up see what's going on in the water and go do something else. That's, the Linders, like I've talked to you about in the past, guys like yourself that can go, I bet you there's some crappies, or find them on their electronics, catch some crappies, or I dumb lucked into a bunch of walleyes on a trap bite, and I'm going to figure out how to catch a bunch more of them so I can fill the box up, or do something like that. And I've always wanted to be one of those guys that can do that, because there are so many fall days I make a trip out to a lake that's just full of fish, and I get spun out because it's supposed to be low-hanging fruit. It's supposed to be take a jig, go to the bank, find every piece of wood that's laying in the water and catch a big giant one. And it doesn't happen. And I go, boy, it sure be cool to catch something else or do something fun. And that's why, to me, my heroes have always been multi-species anglers and people that just take what the lake and nature's given them that day and can capitalize on it. Because if you told me right now, Pete, go catch a bunch of crappies, I would drive around aimlessly with a bobber and a minnow on it and say, I don't know what happened.
Right.
I'm lost this time of year when it comes to doing anything other than trying to catch a bass.
Yep. So Pete, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about rods and reels. And you and I conversed earlier today, and you guys have a good inventory of some of my favorite rods and reels, the SLP series and the Lew's bait casters, and then also the new Signature series rods. Talk about your inventory and what you got going there a little bit, if you would.
So you've talked about it some on the show. I've been watching your show lately, and some of your guests have come on and talked about that Signature series that Lew's has got, where they worked with their pros. One of them in particular, Andy Montgomery, who I worked with in a period of my career, is if you're not familiar with Andy Montgomery, go back and watch Mike's show with Andy Montgomery. I've been around a lot of world-class anglers that got big names around themselves. I've been very blessed in my career to be around those type of guys. I honestly can tell you he's probably the best caster I've ever watched in my life. The guy is an absolute freak when it comes to putting a bait where you think I would never make that cast. I wouldn't even try. And he can put a bait somewhere. He designed a skipping rod, a couple different lengths. Hackney designed frog rods, jig rods. You've got Mark Zona did a bunch of smallmouth based spinning rods. They used all the pros at Strike King and designed that signature series. I've got a couple of them here that we've got samples of. Luckily, I've got some buddies in the industry that hooked me up with some of these, but this one here happens to be the 7-1 heavy Andy Montgomery signature series rod, and this one's for skipping docks, and it's got that skip and pitch lose reel on it, the flip and pitch, I should say, the one that Frisch has been actually talking about a bunch on his show here. This thing's a 10 out of 10. It's a killer reel. Zona's got some spinning rods. If you look at the handles on this, they're all going to be signified by having that silver blank. Their signatures are actually on the rods there. Trying to get it up here in my camera there so you guys can see, but they have a signature on the rod there from the angler themselves for the technique desired. And if you're familiar with Strike King at all and Lose, they put emphasis on designing their products based off what the pros are telling them.
Yep, pro driven. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds pretty generic in today's world, but I'm going to tell you right now, probably no other company that I've been around as far as baits, rods, reel, line, lure, all that stuff, have they taken it to another level. They really do work with these guys pretty hard on getting this stuff dialed in. And that signature series, if you're an angler that's really looking for that tool in your toolbox to help you do something better than you've done in the past, like something hard, like skipping a dock, that deal with Andy Montgomery's skipping rod, that's something to look at. Next, to your point, those SLP reels, Mike, we've got 2 of them in stock now.
Yep.
And this is this is the custom speed spool, the black one here. Yep. Or sorry, I'll hold this one up here. The black one here. This one here is this is the price point version. This is going to come in at that $169 price point, that like sweet spot in bait casters out there on the market right now. And this one's got an aluminum frame. It's got a 20-pound drag in it. And it's got the most simple brake to operate as far as just turning this dial on the side here. And that operates your magnetic brake. That helps you make those little adjustments you want to make on the water. But you can open up the side plate as well, and you can adjust your centrifugal brake, which actually is friction-based. And that will actually slow the reel down much more significantly. So if you're having trouble backlashing, if you're new to bait casters, you want one that you can kind of grow into, this is a great option for you. And this is that custom speed spool SLP. Nice small frame, easy reel to palm, easy reel to get used to fishing. It gives you 2 brakes to help you learn how to dial in a bait caster. And next, I've got the Custom Pro. Now we're getting fancy. Now we're getting into higher price point. This thing gets up into that $249, $259 price range of premium bait casters. And this one here has got 2 brakes as well, but everything's adjustable all by the dial on the outside of the reel. So you can just adjust this dial. You don't have to open up the side plate at all. And I'm going to tell you right now, the boys at work and myself had this thing outside and we were casting this thing around. If you're a power angler, likes to throw swim jigs, chatter baits, crankbaits, cover water, like a spinner bait angler or something like that, this is your friend. This reel actually weighs like 5.6 ounces. This reel's in the same weight range as $500 reels from their competitors on the market. And this thing's half the price of them. And it will cast right with a lot of them. And it's the weight class is unbelievable. It's super light in hand, got a carbon fiber handle. It looks super trick and high end. But to me, all that fluffy stuff aside, it casts really far. And if you fish a bunch and you can brag to your buddies about the equipment you got, but if you're out casting them, I guarantee you don't have to say much.
They're going to take notice.
Yeah. This one's a chucker. So if you're a chunk and winder, I highly recommend you take a look at the Custom Pro series in the SLP reel.
Yep. And for me, Pete, the thing about that reel is, number one, you said it casts forever. And for me, I have small hands.
Yeah.
That thing, it feels like it was built for my hand.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I love them. Or big reasons.
We have a few guys at work. We're all tackle geeks at Omnia, and I have our digital merchandiser, Joe Panessa. Kid's a whiz, and he kicks my butt nowadays. I pointed this out last time I was on your show. All the kids I work with are beating me all the time now in tournaments, and this kid's just a hammer of a fisherman, and he loves these loose reels, and all he can say is, you fish more and you're happier fishing when the reel fits in your hand and it feels like a piece of your body and you're not fighting your equipment all day long. He really, same point you just made, he just feels like this thing was built for his hand, and it just makes him happy to fish with.
Yep, absolutely. Pete, just a couple minutes here we have left.
Yeah.
Let's talk Omnia fishing. What do you guys got going on right now? But talk a little bit, if you would, again, about what makes you different at the retail level than a lot of your competitors.
Well, I'm glad you asked. What's going on now? It's been a wild ride the last few weeks. We're in that season for a tackle retailer where things are supposed to slow down. We're all supposed to be able to go fishing and do whatever else hobbies we have, like hunting and stuff, and that's not happening. We've got a lot of action going on. I'm currently going through the process of dealing with the manufacturers and trying to make plans for next year, because we all know what the supply chain did this year. If you're an angler and you tried to go to a store and buy all your favorite baits and you saw that they were missing, or your favorite rods and reels were gone, it was really tough to get your hands on stuff. So we're all, as an industry, trying to figure out what next year is going to be like. If this is going to happen again, can we get our hands on the right stuff? Do we go overboard, or do we play it safe? So we're going nuts, and we're trying to grab as much stuff as we can and fill up our warehouse. So that's what I've got going on at the shop. We just hired some new people as well that are really tech-driven guys that are going to be helping us expand our ability to grow our lake pages and to do a lot more really smart stuff as far as helping anglers make decisions on their trips, their destination fishing. Your more novice anglers, because right now we've serviced a really high level angler, and thank you all that have found us and supported us as we've done that. Now we're using a lot of the knowledge those higher end anglers have given us to help someone that's got a family that's just trying to go for a weekend, figure out what type of tackle works for them, so we can keep growing our sport of fishing and give it the justice it deserves.
Awesome. Pete, last thing, if folks want to get a hold of Omnia Fishing, they want to place an order, they have questions, how do they do? Where do they find you?
I mean, OmniaFishing.com is always there, and we have a little chat feature or if you can't find that, it's hello@OmniaFishing.com. So if you've got questions, you want someone to help you personally shop for some stuff, if you're looking for gift ideas, you're going to see this a lot from us all over on social media and everything. We're being warned already by the suppliers, shippers, that this holiday season is going to be a nightmare as far as getting your packages on time. So just be aware. If you want to get a present for the angler in your life, or a friend, or yourself, get those orders in earlier than normal. But yes, so reach out to us at hello@omniafishing.com if you want to chat with any one of us. You can always call our number at the bottom of our website. But OmniaFishing.com, and we have all the social channels, of course. I've even recently become a star on TikTok. So if any of you are young enough to understand what's going on there, because I don't, go find me on TikTok.
Right. And Pete, you guys are all about the customer, the fisherman, right? Making the fishing experience as rewarding as possible.
Correct, sir.
Awesome. There you go. Thanks, Pete. We'll get with you again next year, hopefully.
Absolutely, Mike. Thanks for having us, and thanks for the support.
You bet. Take care. All right, folks, that was Pete from Omnia Fishing. And I'll tell you what, with their lake feature, the way they have their website designed is you can go to a destination, a lake that you're going to travel to, say the species that you're going to fish for, and there's some tips there, some lure recommendations, a lot of useful information, not only to help you purchase the right gear, but to plan your fishing trip as well. That's Omnia Fishing. Those guys got it going on, and they're coming on strong and strong and strong and stronger is what I would say about that.